Most kidney strain doesn't announce itself. It shows up in quiet ways, often at the end of the day, when you take off your shoes and notice your ankles look fuller than they did in the morning, or when you start planning your evening around bathroom trips instead of rest, or when you feel tired in a way that sleep doesn't quite fix. You don't feel sick, you don't feel in danger, you just feel off. That's usually how kidney strain begins. The kidneys are constantly filtering, balancing fluids, and clearing waste. When they're under extra pressure, they don't shut down, they adjust. And those adjustments ripple through the body as puffiness, fatigue, and nighttime disruptions that are easy to ignore. Most people do ignore them. They assume it's age, or water, or salt. So nothing changes, and the kidneys keep working harder than they need to. Here's the part that surprises many people. Kidney comfort isn't only influenced by how much you drink or what you avoid. It's also affected by small compounds that can either add to kidney workload or quietly reduce it. Some of the most effective of those compounds don't come from supplements or special foods. They come from spices. That sounds almost too simple, which is why it's often overlooked. But certain spices interact with inflammation, circulation, and fluid balance in ways that directly affect how comfortable the kidneys feel day to day, not in large amounts, not as treatments, but as subtle, consistent support. In this video, we're going to look at 3 specific spices and how they help the kidneys work with less resistance. The goal isn't cleansing or fixing, it's easing strain before it turns into something harder to ignore. If you've noticed puffiness, fatigue, or nighttime disruptions creeping into your routine, this may explain why, and more importantly, what you can do about it in a simple, realistic way. Let's start with the first spice and how it helps take pressure off the kidneys without asking them to work harder. But before that, make sure to like and subscribe this channel. We made this channel so you can improve your health and have a healthy comeback. Spice 1. Let's start with the first spice, because this one works at the root of kidney strain, not just the signs you notice later. That spice is turmeric. A lot of kidney strain builds quietly from low-level inflammation that never fully settles. This kind of inflammation doesn't feel sharp or dramatic. Instead, it creates subtle resistance inside the kidneys, making routine filtering take more effort than it should. When that resistance stays present, the kidneys adapt by working harder. And that extra effort often shows up in everyday ways. Socks leaving deeper marks by evening, shoes feeling tighter at night, or a sense that your legs feel full rather than swollen. If that sounds familiar, it's not a coincidence. Turmeric helps by supporting the body's ability to calm this background inflammation, not by stimulating the kidneys or pushing fluids out, but by easing the internal conditions they're working within. It doesn't increase filtration speed. It doesn't act like a diuretic. And it doesn't force immediate relief. Instead, it reduces the quiet resistance that makes kidney work feel heavier over time. When that resistance eases, blood moves more smoothly through the kidney's fine filtering structures. Waste clears with less effort. Fluid balance becomes easier to maintain without constant compensation. This is why turmeric's effect is gradual rather than obvious. People who use it consistently often notice changes that are easy to miss at first. Puffiness doesn't build as quickly by the end of the day. The body feels less weighed down. Nighttime disruptions don't escalate as fast as they used to. Another reason turmeric fits kidney support well is its gentle nature. It doesn't ask the kidneys to do more. It helps them do the same work with less strain, which is exactly what kidneys respond best to. Consistency matters more than amount. Small, regular use with meals sends a steadier signal than occasional large doses. It's not about intensity, it's about lowering pressure over time. Think of turmeric as a pressure reliever, not a solution. It doesn't change what the kidneys do. It changes how hard they have to work to do it. And most people notice the difference in daily comfort before they consciously connect it to turmeric, which is exactly why the next phase of support matters. When turmeric is used consistently, the change people notice isn't sudden relief, it's less accumulation. Instead of pressure quietly building throughout the day, the body feels more balanced by evening. This matters because kidney strain rarely feels urgent, it feels cumulative. One day doesn't feel much different, but weeks of constant strain add up. Turmeric helps interrupt that buildup. When fluid balance improves, nighttime disruptions often become less frequent or less urgent. Sleep feels more settled, not because turmeric causes sleep, but because the body isn't working as hard to rebalance fluids after lying down. Over time, this creates a quiet confidence. You stop monitoring swelling. You stop wondering if discomfort is getting worse. You stop adjusting your day around how your body might feel later. That reduction in vigilance is important. When the body feels more predictable, stress decreases, and stress itself can add to kidney strain. Turmeric works best when it becomes part of the background. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't create a noticeable effect. Instead, it prevents small discomforts from stacking up into bigger ones. This is also why patience matters. Turmeric isn't the kind of support you feel immediately after taking it. It's the kind you notice when you realize something didn't happen. Less swelling, fewer interruptions, less end-of-day heaviness. That absence is the signal. Used regularly in small amounts with meals, turmeric helps create steadier kidney comfort over time without forcing the body to adapt. That's why turmeric comes first. It lowers the baseline. Next, we'll look at a spice that supports kidney comfort from a completely different angle by helping the body manage fluid balance and circulation more efficiently, especially later in the day. Spice 2. Let's move to the second spice, because this one supports kidney comfort from a different direction. Instead of calming strain, this spice helps prevent it from building up in the first place. That spice is ginger. Kidney comfort depends heavily on flow, how smoothly blood and fluids move through the body. When that movement slows, filtering becomes less efficient and fluids tend to linger. That's when puffiness feels stubborn and heaviness takes longer to settle, especially later in the day. Ginger helps by supporting gentle, coordinated circulation. The kidneys rely on steady, even blood flow to filter comfortably. When circulation is sluggish or uneven, they have to work harder to keep things balanced. Ginger helps reduce that friction, not by speeding anything up, but by helping movement stay smooth instead of stagnant. It doesn't stimulate the heart. It doesn't act like a diuretic. And it doesn't force fluids out. It simply helps things not get stuck. If you've ever noticed that swelling takes a long time to go down after sitting, or that your legs still feel heavy even after resting, that lingering sensation is often a flow issue. Ginger helps shorten that settling time. Another reason ginger fits kidney support well is its effect on digestion. When digestion slows, fluid handling across the body can slow with it. Ginger supports digestive movement, which indirectly helps fluid balance feel more responsive instead of backed up. People who use ginger regularly often notice changes that feel physical rather than dramatic. Swelling doesn't linger as long after shoes come off. The body feels less stagnant by evening, and transitions into rest feel smoother instead of heavy. Think of ginger as a facilitator. Turmeric lowers pressure. Ginger prevents buildup. Together, they reduce strain from two sides, calming what's already there and keeping things moving so discomfort doesn't accumulate. Used gently and consistently in small amounts, ginger helps the kidneys work with better rhythm rather than constant adjustment. Next, we'll look at what consistent ginger use feels like over time and how this kind of flow support changes daily comfort without forcing the body to react. When ginger is used consistently, the change people notice isn't sudden relief, it's faster settling. Instead of discomfort carrying on late into the evening, the body begins to respond sooner. When you sit down after a long day, swelling eases more quickly. When shoes come off, pressure doesn't linger as long, and the body transitions into rest without needing hours to adjust. That difference matters, because kidney-related discomfort is often not about how bad something feels, it's about how long it stays. Without this kind of support, the body keeps correcting well into the night. Fluid shifts take longer, heaviness hangs on, and rest becomes fragmented because the system is still trying to rebalance. Ginger shortens that correction window. People often notice that they can sit through dinner more comfortably. They don't need to reposition as much when resting. And by the time they lie down, the body already feels closer to neutral instead of backed up. Another subtle change shows up at night. When flow improves, the body doesn't have to move as much fluid all at once after lying down. Nighttime disruptions may feel less urgent or less frequent. Not because ginger causes sleep, but because the system isn't scrambling to fix what lingered all day. Over time, this creates predictability. You stop wondering how uncomfortable you'll feel later. You stop choosing shoes based on swelling. And you stop bracing yourself for how the evening might go. Ginger works best when it fades into the background. Small amounts used regularly, added to meals or warm drinks, help maintain rhythm without drawing attention. You don't notice ginger working. You notice when discomfort doesn't pile up the way it used to. This is also why ginger pairs so well with turmeric. Turmeric lowers baseline pressure. Ginger keeps things from backing up again. One reduces strain, the other prevents accumulation. Together, they help the kidneys work with steadier rhythm instead of constant correction. Next, we'll move to the third and final spice, one that focuses on protection, helping the kidneys stay resilient against long-term wear so they don't have to keep adapting under constant load. Spice to 3. Let's move to the third and final spice, because this one addresses something neither turmeric nor ginger fully covers. This spice isn't about easing pressure. It isn't about keeping things moving. It's about protection over time. That spice is cinnamon. Kidneys are resilient, but they're also exposed to constant wear. Every day, they filter waste, manage blood flow, and help keep internal balance steady. Over years, that repeated workload creates gradual stress, not dramatic damage, but cumulative strain that makes the kidneys less tolerant of disruption. Cinnamon helps by supporting the body's ability to manage that long-term wear. One of the quiet stresses kidneys face is unstable blood sugar and oxidative stress. When blood sugar swings are frequent, kidneys have to work harder to maintain balance. When oxidative stress stays elevated, tissues become less resilient and more sensitive to strain. Cinnamon helps smooth those fluctuations. It supports steadier metabolic signaling, which reduces unnecessary stress on the kidney's filtering system. This doesn't mean it treats blood sugar problems or replaces medical care. It means it helps reduce the background instability that forces the kidneys to keep adapting. That matters because adaptation has a cost. When the kidneys are constantly adjusting, they have less reserve. Comfort becomes harder to maintain. And small disruptions, salt, dehydration, stress, create bigger effects than they used to. Cinnamon's role is protective. It helps preserve resilience so the kidneys don't have to overreact to everyday challenges. Over time, that protection supports steadier comfort and less sensitivity to minor changes in routine. People who use cinnamon regularly often don't notice an immediate effect. Instead, they notice that their bodies feel less reactive. Swelling doesn't spike as easily. Energy feels more stable. And kidney-related discomfort doesn't escalate as quickly when routines are imperfect. Cinnamon works best in small, consistent amounts as part of normal meals. It's not about strong doses or special preparations. Like the other spices, its value comes from regular, gentle support. Think of cinnamon as a shield. Turmeric lowers pressure. Ginger keeps things moving. Cinnamon helps the kidneys hold their ground over time. Next, we'll look at what consistent cinnamon use feels like in daily life, and how protection shows up not as a sensation, but as fewer setbacks when the body is under stress. When cinnamon is used consistently, the change people notice isn't a new sensation, it's fewer setbacks. Instead of the body reacting strongly to small disruptions, an extra salty meal, a day of poor hydration, a stressful afternoon, things stay more even. Swelling doesn't spike as easily, energy doesn't dip as sharply, and kidney-related discomfort doesn't escalate the way it used to. That's what protection looks like in real life. Not feeling better in the moment, but not feeling worse when conditions aren't perfect. Part of what makes cinnamon uniquely suited to this role is how it supports steadier internal signaling. When the body isn't swinging as hard between too much and not enough, the kidneys don't have to keep overcorrecting. That steadiness helps preserve comfort and resilience instead of draining it. Without this kind of protection, small disruptions tend to compound. Recovery takes longer. Discomfort escalates more easily, and the body becomes more sensitive to things it used to handle without issue. Cinnamon helps soften that overreaction. People often notice that their bodies feel less fragile overall. A missed habit doesn't derail comfort. A heavier meal doesn't linger as long. And small mistakes don't lead to days of feeling off. This creates a quiet sense of forgiveness in the body. You stop worrying that one wrong choice will undo everything. You stop trying to control every variable, and daily life feels more flexible instead of restrictive. Cinnamon doesn't force balance. It helps preserve it. That's why its effect is subtle but meaningful over time. Instead of chasing improvements, you notice fewer corrections are needed. The system holds steady longer, even when routines aren't perfect. Used regularly in small amounts, cinnamon becomes part of the background support you don't notice until it's missing. By now, you can see that kidney comfort isn't about forcing the body to do more. It's about helping it work with less resistance. When pressure is lowered, flow is supported, and resilience is protected, the kidneys don't have to keep adapting. They settle into a steadier rhythm and the body follows. That rhythm is what comfort feels like. You've seen the pattern. Turmeric helps reduce background pressure so strain doesn't build as easily. Ginger keeps things moving so discomfort doesn't linger or pile up. And cinnamon helps protect against overreaction, so small disruptions don't turn into bigger setbacks. None of these are quick fixes. None of them are treatments. They're supports, meant to be used gently, consistently, and without stress. You don't need all three at once. You don't need perfect habits. Start with the one that fits your routine best and let it become part of normal meals. Kidney support works best when it fades into the background of daily life. If you've been noticing puffiness, fatigue, or nighttime disruptions and wondering whether it's just age, this offers a calmer explanation. Often, the body isn't failing, it's compensating, and compensation can be eased. When the kidneys feel supported, the body stops bracing. Evenings feel lighter, rest comes more naturally, and small disruptions don't carry the same weight. Before you go, take a moment to reflect. Which spice made the most sense for you? Which one felt like it explains something you've already noticed? Leave a comment and share that. It helps reinforce awareness, and it helps others realize they're not alone in these quiet changes. We're building a community here for strong comebacks, so subscribe, hit the bell icon. You don't want to miss what's coming next. If this was helpful and you want to support the effort behind it, give this video a like and share it with someone you love. Join me in the next video. I've got more surprises waiting for you.